I'm already on my way back to you now. I hit send before I could overthink it. 3 hours ago, I was supposed to be boarding a flight to Singapore for a 6-month contract. Career-defining opportunity. The kind that sets you up for life at 29. Instead, I'm sitting in my car in the airport parking lot, engine running, watching planes take off without me. My phone buzzed. Maya's text lit up the screen. What? Alex, what are you talking about? Then, you're supposed to be on a plane. Then, Alex? I should explain. I should tell her the truth. The truth I've been hiding from myself for weeks. The truth that hit me only when I looked at my boarding pass and realized I was about to make the biggest mistake of my life. But I didn't explain. I just drove. Because 3 weeks ago, Maya texted me, "I already miss you so much." And I realized something that should have been obvious from the start. I was in love with a woman 18 years older than me, and I just agreed to leave her for half a year to chase a job I didn't even want anymore. That's how this started. A text, a U-turn, a woman who thought I was gone, and a man who couldn't leave even if staying meant throwing away everything he'd worked for. I should have taken that flight. And when I showed up at her door 2 hours later, soaking wet from the rain, she opened it and just stared at me like I was a ghost. "You're supposed to be in Singapore," she whispered. "I know. You gave up the contract? I know." She pulled me inside, and for the first time in 3 weeks I could breathe again. My name is Alex Chen, and 2 months before that text, I was not in love with anyone. Building a career in software engineering that was finally paying off. 29 years old, no distractions, no commitments. That's how you make it in tech. Then I met Maya Torres at a networking event in Seattle. She wasn't supposed to be there. She was filling in for a colleague, director of operations at a mid-sized consulting firm, 47 years old. Confident in a way that made everyone else in the room look like they were trying too hard. I wasn't looking for anything. Neither was she, but we ended up at the same table during the keynote. She made a dry comment about the speaker's buzzword overload. I laughed. She smirked. "You're Alex Chen," she said after, "the one who built that supply chain optimization tool. You know my work? I know everyone's work." She handed me her card. "We should talk. My firm has clients who need what you're building. Professional. Clean. Exactly the kind of connection I came here to make." Except when I emailed her the next week to set up a meeting, she suggested coffee instead of a conference room. "Less formal," she said. I hate formal. The coffee meeting was supposed to be 30 minutes. It lasted 3 hours. We talked about work for maybe 20. The rest was everything else. She'd been divorced twice. No kids by choice. Built her career from scratch. In an industry that didn't want women leading anything. She was blunt about it. No bitterness. Just facts. "I gave up on the fairy tale a long time ago," she said. "Turns out I'm better at building companies than relationships." I told her about my immigrant parents. The pressure to succeed. The guilt of choosing a career they didn't understand over the stable engineering job they wanted for me. "You're doing what you love," she said. "That's not selfish. That's survival." Something shifted in that conversation. It wasn't attraction yet. Or maybe it was. And I wasn't ready to admit it. When we left, she said, "Let's do this again. Not for work. Just this." I should have said no. I said yes. The second time we met, it wasn't at a coffee shop. It was at a wine bar in Capitol Hill. Dim lighting. Quiet corners. The kind of place where people go when they're not trying to be professional anymore. She arrived late, apologetic. Work crisis. Hair slightly messy from running her hands through it. Still in her blazer but with the top button undone. "I almost canceled," she said, sliding into the booth across from me. "Long day. We can reschedule." "No." She smiled, tired but real. "I need this." We ordered wine. Malbec for her. Cab for me. The conversation picked up where it left off. Work, life, the spaces in between. Then she said something that changed everything. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure. How old are you?" I hesitated. 29. She went still. Just for a second. Then she picked up her glass, took a long sip, and set it down carefully. "I'm 47, she said quietly. The air in the booth got heavier. "I know," I said. "You looked me up. LinkedIn." She laughed short, self-deprecating. "Of course you did. You're thorough." "Does it matter?" I asked. "It should. But does it?" She looked at me for a long time. The noise of the bar faded. It was just her eyes dark, searching, conflicted. I don't know, she said finally. Ask me again in an hour. An hour later, we were still there. The wine bottle was empty, Malbec. Deep red stain at the bottom. Our knees were touching under the table. Neither of us acknowledged it, but neither of us moved. The bar around us had gotten louder. Friday night crowd. Laughter. Music. But our booth felt like a bubble. This is a bad idea, she said, not looking away from me. I know. You're 29. I'm almost 50. 47. Same thing. She didn't move her knee. People will talk. They'll say I'm using you. Cradle robber. Midlife crisis. They'll say, you're using me for connections. Or money. Or both. Do you care what people say? I used to. She reached across the table. Her fingers brushed mine, tentative. Testing. I built my career caring what people say. Caring about optics. About how things look. And now? I'm trying not to anymore. Her voice dropped. But it's hard. Especially when I look at you and think about all the things you haven't done yet, haven't experienced, and I've already what? Lived through them. The marriages. The divorces. The trying and failing and trying again. She looked down at our almost touching hands. You're at the beginning. I'm in the middle. Maybe past the middle. I turned my hand over. Palm up. An invitation. She hesitated, just a heartbeat. Her breath caught, then laced her fingers through mine. The contact sent electricity up my arm. Her hand was warm. Soft skin, but calloused at the base of her thumb from holding pens, probably. A small scar on her knuckle. One drink turned into 3, she said softly, looking at our intertwined fingers. 3 turned into this. What happens next? We figure it out. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I squeezed her hand. Maya, I don't have a roadmap for this. I just know that sitting here with you feels more right than anything has in years. That's infatuation. Maybe, or maybe it's something else. She squeezed back. I'm scared. Of what? That I'm too old for this. That you'll wake up one day 6 months from now, a year, and realize you wasted your prime years on someone who's already lived half her life. That you'll resent me. I'm 29, not 22. I know what I'm doing. Do you? Her eyes searched mine. Because I don't. I haven't done this whatever this is in a long time. And back then, I was your age. Now I'm still you. Older me. Better me, probably. She laughed small, self-deprecating. You don't know that. I know enough. I leaned forward. Our faces were close now. I could smell her perfume, something floral with a hint of spice. Expensive. Maya, I'm not here because I'm confused or rebelling or looking for a mentor. I'm here because I haven't felt this alive in years. Because when I talk to you, I don't have to perform. I can just be. She stared at me. The noise of the bar faded into background static. I feel that too, she whispered. Then let's see where it goes. What about Singapore? 2 months away. We have time. Time to what? Fall for each other and then you leave? Or time to figure out if this is real? She pulled her hand back, not abruptly, but deliberately. I need to think. Okay, this isn't a no. It's just, I need to be sure I'm not being selfish. That I'm not taking something from you that you should be giving to someone else. You're not. You don't know that yet. She stood up, grabbing her coat. I stood too. Walk me to my car, she said. Not a question, a request. We walked in silence. Outside, the Seattle air was cold. Drizzle, always drizzle. The parking garage was empty except for a few cars. When we reached hers, a silver Audi, well-maintained, she turned to me. Thank you for tonight. Maya, text me when you get home. I will. She unlocked her car but didn't get in, just stood there, keys in hand, looking at me like she was memorizing my face. For what it's worth, she said. I haven't felt this alive in a long time either. Then she got in and drove away. I stood there for 5 minutes in the drizzle, heart pounding, knowing something had irrevocably changed. We didn't kiss that night, but we didn't let go of each other's hands until we reached her car. Text me when you get home, she said. I did. She replied in 2 minutes. I'm glad you said yes to coffee that day. Me. I'm glad you suggested wine tonight. Her. This is dangerous. Me. I know. Her. We should stop. Me. Should we? 3 dots. Then. No. The next week, we met again. And again. always under the guise of catching up or grabbing a drink. But the truth was undeniable. By the third week, I was at her apartment. Capitol Hill. Old building with creaky hardwood floors and exposed brick. The kind of place that smelled like coffee and old books. She cooked pasta carbonara from scratch. I brought wine, Pinot Grigio. Because she'd mentioned it casually 3 conversations ago, and I'd remembered. You actually listened, she said, smiling as she uncorked it. I always listen. Most people don't. We sat on her couch leather, worn in the right places. Jazz playing low from a speaker. Her hand rested on the cushion between us, close enough to touch. Neither of us did. When do you leave? She asked. I'd been dreading this. 2 months. Singapore contract. 6 months. She went quiet. That's a big deal. It is. You should go. I know. But you don't want to. I looked at her. Not anymore. She set her wine glass down. Alex, don't do that. Don't give up your career for whatever this is. What is this? I don't know yet. She touched my face the first time. Her hand was warm. But you can't throw away 6 months in Singapore for someone you've known for 3 weeks. It's not 3 weeks. I stopped. What? It's the only thing that makes sense right now. She set her wine glass down carefully, looked at me for a long moment. Then she touched my face, fingertips against my jaw, thumb brushing my cheek. I'm going to kiss you now, she said. And if it's a mistake, we'll pretend it didn't happen. It won't be a mistake. You don't know that. Yes, I do. She kissed me, soft at first, tentative, testing. Her lips tasted like wine Pinot Grigio, slightly sweet. Her hand cupped my face, thumb moving in slow circles. I kissed her back, gentle, letting her set the pace. She pulled back an inch. Our foreheads touched. Was that a mistake? I whispered. I don't know yet. Want to find out? She smiled against my lips. Yes. This time the kiss wasn't tentative. It was real. Hungry. 6 weeks of tension, releasing all at once. Her hands in my hair, my hands on her waist, the couch, the apartment, the world, all of it faded until it was just her. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. That, she said, was not a mistake. No, but it's still terrifying. I know. You're leaving in 6 weeks. I know. And I'm falling for you anyway. I know. I'm falling for you too. She rested her head on my shoulder. We sat like that for a long time, her hand in mine, the weight of Singapore hanging over us like a storm cloud. The next 4 weeks were a blur. We tried to keep it quiet. No social media, no public dates, just stolen evenings at her place or mine. But Seattle's tech scene is small. People talk. Week 6. Someone from my company saw us at a restaurant, asked me the next day, was that Maya Torres you were with? Yeah, business meeting. Looked pretty casual for business. I shrugged it off, but the seed was planted. Week 7. Her colleague made a comment at a happy hour. You've been glowing lately. New guy? Maya laughed it off with a deflection about skincare. But when she texted me later that night, I could feel the tension through the screen. Can you come over? I was there in 20 minutes. She opened the door in yoga pants and an oversized sweater. Hair down. Bare feet. The version of her no one at work ever saw. They're going to figure it out, she said, pouring us both wine. We sat on her balcony. Seattle skyline lit up like a circuit board. The air smelled like rain. It always smelled like rain here. Does it matter? I asked. It might. She stared at her glass. Age gaps are controversial, especially in professional circles. They'll say, I'm taking advantage, or that you're naive. We're both adults. That's not how people see it. She turned to me. They see a 47-year-old woman and a 29-year-old man, and they make assumptions. Let them. You say that now? Her voice dropped. But what happens when it affects your career? When investors ask about your personal life and someone mentions you're dating a woman old enough to be... I don't care what they think. She looked at our intertwined fingers. I care. Because I know how this ends. You'll wake up one day and realize you could have anyone. Someone your own age. Someone who I kissed her. Not soft. Not tentative. The kind of kiss that says, stop talking. When I pulled back, she was breathless. Stop assuming I'm going to leave, I said. I'm here. I chose this. For now. For as long as you'll have me. She kissed me back. And for a moment, the city, The age gap, the whispers, all of it disappeared. We're both adults. That's not how people see it. She poured herself more wine. They'll say I'm going through a midlife crisis. Or that you're naive. Let them. You say that now. I mean it. She looked at me. The Singapore offer. It's still open, right? Yeah. You should take it. We've been over this. No. Listen. She set her glass down. 6 months apart. We see if this is real. If it is, we figure it out when you get back. If it's not, it is. You don't know that. I do. She shook her head. You're 29. You should be building your career. Not sitting in my apartment every night because you're afraid of losing something that might not even last. Is that what you think? That this won't last? I think, she said slowly, that you deserve to find out without throwing away your future. I left that night angry. Not at her. At the situation. At the 18-year gap that made everything harder. At the voices in her head telling her she wasn't enough. 3 weeks before my flight, Maya pulled back. Not dramatically. Just distance. Texts took longer. Calls were shorter. She was busy with work. I knew what she was doing. Protecting herself. Preparing for me to leave. 2 weeks before the flight, I confronted her. Are we ending this? No. You're leaving. That's different. It's the same thing. It's not. She wouldn't look at me. You're going to Singapore. You're going to meet people your own age. You're going to realize, stop. That this was just a phase, Maya. Stop. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were wet mascara smudged at the corners. She never let anyone see her like this. Vulnerable. Unguarded. I'm scared, Alex. Of what? That 6 months will turn into forever. That you'll get to Singapore and realize. Her voice cracked. That I'm too old. That I'm set in my ways. That you'll meet someone at a conference or a bar and she'll be 25 and brilliant and she'll make sense in a way I don't. You make sense. I don't. She stood up, pacing. I'm 18 years older than you. I'm divorced twice. I don't want kids. I don't want to get married again. I've had my big life moments and you haven't even started yours. What kind of future is that for you? The one I want. You're 29. You don't know what you want. I know I want you. She stopped pacing, looked at me. A tear slipped down her cheek, just one, but it carried the weight of everything she wasn't saying. I crossed the room, cupped her face in my hands. I know you're scared. I'm scared too, but not of you. I'm scared of losing this, of losing you. You're going to Singapore. I don't have to. Yes, you do. You signed a contract. I can break it. No. She stepped back. You can't throw away your career for what? For someone I love? The word hung between us. I hadn't said it before. Neither had she. She stared at me. You love me? Yes. Alex, I love you. And I don't care about Singapore. I don't care about the age gap. I don't care about what people will say. She broke. Not just a tear this time. She crumpled into me, and I held her while she sobbed into my chest. Then don't go, she whispered against my shirt. I know it's selfish. I know it's unfair. But I'm asking anyway. Stay. Please stay. What? Don't go to Singapore. Stay. Maya, I know. It's selfish. It's unfair. But I'm asking anyway. She grabbed my hands. Stay. We'll figure out the rest. I wanted to say yes. God. I wanted to. But I'd already committed. Signed the contract. Told my family. Built my whole year around this. I have to go, I said. But I'll come back. I promise. She let go of my hands. Okay. Maya, it's okay. She wiped her eyes. You're right. You should go. I'm sorry, I asked. I left that night with a pit in my stomach. 1 week later, I was packing. 3 days after that, she sent the text. I already miss you so much. And I realized I couldn't do it. The morning of my flight, I sat in my apartment surrounded by packed boxes. Singapore. 6 months. Fresh start. My phone had been quiet for 3 days. Maya's last text. Safe flight. I mean it. Translation? Go. Don't look back. But I couldn't stop looking back. My suitcase was packed. Passport in my jacket pocket. Boarding pass on my phone. Flight left in 4 hours. I should have been excited. This was the opportunity I'd worked toward for years. Lead engineer. International experience. The kind of line on a resume that opens every door. Instead, I felt hollow. My phone buzzed. Not Maya. My mom. Proud of you. Call when you land. Another buzz. My friend Jake. Kill it in Singapore, man. Nothing from Maya. I stared at my phone. Typed, I'm going to miss you. Deleted it. Typed, I wish you'd asked me to stay. Deleted it. Typed, I love you. Deleted it. Sent nothing. I grabbed my keys. Drove to the airport. Parked. Sat in my car, engine running, watching planes take off through the chain link fence. I pulled up my boarding pass on my phone. Gate C7. Flight 247 to Singapore. Seat 14A. Window seat. I'd specifically requested it so I could watch Seattle disappear beneath the clouds. I closed my eyes. Tried to picture my life there. The modern apartment they'd arranged for me. The skyline. The meetings with investors. The late nights building something important. In every vision, I was standing on top of the world. Completely alone. And that's when I realized the problem wasn't that Maya was scared I wouldn't come back. The problem was that I was scared I wouldn't want to come back. That 6 months in Singapore would turn into a year. That success would feel better than love. That I'd meet someone else, someone younger, someone easier, someone who fit the timeline everyone expected, and I'd convince myself it made more sense. That terrified me more than any career failure ever could. Because Maya wasn't a phase. She wasn't a midlife crisis, or a rebellion, or a mistake. She was the first person in years who made me feel like I didn't have to perform, like I could just exist, and that was enough. And I was about to trade her for a job title. I looked at my boarding pass again, then at the planes taking off, one after another, climbing toward futures I'd never know. Then I looked at Maya's last text. Safe flight. I mean it. She was letting me go. Being selfless. Doing what she thought was right for me. But what if what was right for me wasn't Singapore? What if it was her? I turned off the engine, opened my phone, my hands shook as I typed, I'm already on my way back to you now. I hit send before I could second guess it. Then I drove. Away from the airport. Away from the future I'd planned. Toward the one I wanted. When I showed up at her door, she was in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, the Seattle Seahawks, one I'd complimented once. Hair tied up in a messy bun. No makeup. Eyes red-rimmed like she'd been crying. She looked stunned. Frozen. Like she couldn't process what she was seeing. You're supposed to be on a plane? She whispered. I was. Alex, her hand gripped the doorframe. What are you doing here? I couldn't do it. Couldn't. She blinked. You gave up Singapore? Yeah. The color drained from her face. Are you insane? Probably. That was a 6-month contract. Career defining. You. Her voice rose. You signed papers. You told your family. I know. You can't just throw that away because... She stopped. Her voice cracked. Why? I stepped closer. Rain dripped off my jacket onto her doormat. Because I looked at my boarding pass. Seat 14A. And I realized that if I got on that plane, I might succeed. I might become exactly who I planned to be, but I'd be doing it alone. I took a breath, my voice shaking. I sat in that parking lot and realized I was more scared of forgetting you than I was of failing my career. I realized that Singapore is just a place. But you're my home. Maya's eyes filled with tears. You're giving up too much. I'm giving up a contract, I said. If I left, I'd be giving up everything. Maya, I've been lying to myself, telling myself I could do this, that I could leave you for 6 months and everything would be fine. But it's not fine. I got to the airport and sat in my car and all I could think about was you. Alone. Thinking I wasn't coming back. You should have gotten on the plane. Tears spilled down her cheeks. This was your dream job. No. It was a good job. My dream is standing right in front of me. And I almost walked away from it. Alex, you texted me 3 days ago. I already miss you so much. And I couldn't even respond because if I did, I'd have told you I was falling apart too. That every time I thought about leaving, I felt sick. You should have said something. You told me to go. You said you wanted me to build my career, to not throw away my future. Because I was scared. She was sobbing now. I was scared that if you stayed, you'd resent me, that I was being selfish by wanting you here. You're not selfish. I cupped her face in my hands. You're the only thing that makes sense to me anymore. And yes, this is insane. But I'd rather be here broke, Starting over, figuring it out with you, then in Singapore wishing I'd made a different choice. She stared at me, mascara running, tears streaming. You're an idiot. I know. A complete idiot. I know. You threw away your career. Her voice broke. For what? For a woman who's going to look like your mother in 10 years? I flinched. Don't say that. It's true. People already think it. Your friends. My friends. Your parents. I don't care what they think. You will. When you're 40 and I'm almost 60. When you want kids and I'm too old. When Maya, I cupped her face, forcing her to look at me. Let me worry about that in 10 years. Right now, I only worry about one thing. Being somewhere you aren't. Her breath hitched. That's not enough. It's everything. I wiped a tear from her cheek. Singapore was a good opportunity, but it's just a job. There will be other jobs, other contracts, but there's only one you. And I almost got on that plane thinking I was making the smart choice, the practical choice. But you know what the smart choice is? Choosing the person who makes you want to be better, who sees you, really sees you, and still chooses to stay. You don't know that I'm that person. Yes, I do. Because you already did it. You saw a 29-year-old kid with more ambition than sense, and instead of dismissing me, you challenged me. You made me think. You made me feel alive in a way I'd forgotten was possible. She sobbed. I'm still terrified. Me too. But I'd rather be terrified with you than successful without you. What if this doesn't work? Her voice was small. What if you wake up in 6 months and realize you made a mistake? Then I made a mistake, but at least I tried. At least I chose what I wanted instead of what made sense on paper. She pulled back slightly. Looked at me, really looked at me. I'm 47. You're 29. People are going to say terrible things. Let them. Your parents will be disappointed. They'll get over it. My friends think you're too young for me. Your friends don't matter. You'll regret this. I won't. I wiped a tear from her cheek. Maya, I love you. I should have said it weeks ago. I love you. And I'm terrified too. But I'm here. I chose you. I'm choosing you. Her face crumpled. She pulled me inside, slammed the door, and kissed me hard, desperate, real. Her hands grabbed my jacket, my shirt, pulling me closer like she was afraid I'd disappear. You're an idiot, she said between kisses. The biggest. I love you. I love you more. I'm terrified. Me too. But we'll figure it out. But I'm so glad you're here. We stood there in her hallway, soaking wet from the rain, holding each other like we'd been apart for years instead of days. And for the first time in weeks, I could breathe. Really breathe. So what now? She whispered against my chest. Now we figure it out. Together. No plan? No plan. Just us. She pulled back, looked up at me with red eyes and a watery smile. That's the worst plan I've ever heard. Probably. But it's ours. She laughed broken. Beautiful. Okay, let's be idiots together. Deal. We kissed again. Slower this time. Like we had all the time in the world. Because we did. It wasn't a fairy tale. I didn't find another contract right away. The recruiters I'd worked with before went quiet when they heard I'd broken the Singapore contract. Word travels fast in tech. Money was tight. Freelance gigs paid the bills, but barely. I moved out of my apartment and into Maya's place to save rent. She insisted, but I could see the strain in her eyes every time I paid my half in smaller bills. My parents were confused. You gave up Singapore for a girlfriend? My mom asked on the phone. The disappointment in her voice was sharper than anger. Her friends were skeptical. I overheard one of them at a dinner party. He's 29, Maya. What happens when he wants kids? When he wakes up and realizes he's dating someone his mother's age? Maya pretended it didn't bother her. But that night, lying in bed, she turned away from me. Maybe they're right, she said quietly. They're not. You gave up everything. I gave up a job. I didn't give up everything. We fought. About money. About the future. About whether I'd made the right choice. One particularly bad night, I yelled, "Do you want me to regret it? Is that what you want?" She yelled back, "I want you to be honest. If this was a mistake, just say it." I left, drove around for 2 hours, came back. She was on the couch, eyes red. "I'm sorry," I said. "Me too. I don't regret it. Not even a little. You might. Someday. Maybe. But not today." She reached for my hand. I took it. We made it work. Slowly. Painfully. Beautifully. I picked up a steady freelance client tech startup. Good pay. Maya got promoted. We started splitting dinners out again instead of cooking ramen every night. Her friends warmed up. One of them apologized. I was wrong about you, she said. You're good for her. My parents came around too. My dad visited, met Maya, and afterward said, she's impressive. I see why you stayed. 1 year later, I got a local contract better than Singapore. Lead engineer role, equity, the works. We moved into a bigger place together. Her furniture and my furniture. Our books mixed on the same shelf. It's not perfect. The age gap still matters sometimes. When her back hurts or she mentions feeling tired more often. When my friends throw parties and I'm the only one with a partner over 40. But it matters less than what we built. Do you regret it? She asked me once. Regret what? Giving up Singapore. I thought about it. No. I regret almost leaving. She smiled. I'm glad you turned around. Me too. 3 engagement questions for you. 1. If someone texted you, I already miss you so much, would you turn around? 2. Would you give up a career opportunity for love? 3. Is 18 years too big of a gap or does love make it irrelevant? The end.